Hello and welcome back to Tired Format. I know it's been a while, probably over a month since the last upload actually, but I took some time out. I was away for 2 weeks and I then just didn't do any videos for a little while, so sorry about that, and I'm really happy to see that my subscribers haven't dropped off too dramatically, so thank you for staying with me. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of content, maybe consider subscribing, liking, all those other YouTubey things that really help me out. But yeah, the purpose of today's video is to talk about this little beast. Yeah, I have bought a brand spanking new car. Not just new to me, brand spanking new. I ordered this a few months back and it arrived about 2 days before I buggered off to America for 2 weeks. So I've had about a week with it in total, I would say, to play around with it. So I thought I'd just introduce it to the channel and give you my opinions on it. If you look back to my Audi A2 videos, you know how much of a pain in the arse I had with that car. And it was around that time I got so fed up of cars that I was looking at new ones. And to my surprise, these were not only available to order pretty quickly, but still quite cheaply for what they are. So another reason is because if you look back through my history of cars I've owned, cars I really like, it's usually lightweight and fun to drive, and especially hot hatches. So that's kind of why I've ended up with this one. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you around the car, through the interior, all that sort of stuff, so we can get a proper close-up look of it, and I'll tell you some of the things I like and dislike, and then I'll take it on a drive, and we'll get stuck in the traffic, because it's, yeah, it's rush hour, because I'm an idiot, but I have a job, so, right. So yeah, sorry, I just realised I forgot to charge my gimbal, so this is a bit shaky, I apologise in advance. I'm also in some random person's field, and I'm worried they're going to come and kick me out soon, but I'm not on the crop area, so I'm not doing any damage, I promise. So yeah, this is my 2022 VW UP exclamation mark. I know there's a lot of people on this channel that are probably not going to like this. A lot of my channel is Range Rover fans. I can exclusively reveal here that I now am Range Rover-less. I'll talk more about that in a bit, but yeah, stick with it and hear me out on this one, because I really think this car is totally slept on. It is very underrated. Yeah. So both of my Range Rovers are gone. The cash from the silver one especially came in handy for my holiday, and it came in handy for buying this. So the reason I chose this little chode of a car, as I say, if you look at my car history, I'm a bit of a Volkswagen bore, a bit of a Volkswagen nerd. I've had a few GTIs, Golf GTIs, and other boring Volkswagens, but I do like them. I do like the Volkswagen brand and the cars they produce, but I also like things that are light and fun, and normally those two things don't always necessarily come with this badge on it. So yeah, I mean, the last Golf GTI I owned was a Mark 7.5, which I think is the last good one, because when the new 8 came out, it just disappointed me. I was looking at probably getting one at some point, but for the first time since the Mark 4, they released a Golf that I didn't instantly want. I don't really like the look of it, and then since I've both driven one and seen reviews of them, it's not really my cup of tea. Now, the latest Golf GTI, it starts at 36,645. And as I say, I think for the Mark 8, they've just made it worse than the Mark 7.5. So it's a lot of money. The UP GTI, this here, starts at 17,810 pounds. So it's a considerably cheaper car, obviously. Both of those used to be cheaper, obviously, but there is this little thing called inflation. So I think when this first came out, it started at around the 13,750 mark. So yeah, a little bit of history on this car. It was released in early 2018. 115 horsepower, 1 litre TSI engine. It weighs just over a ton, so it's quite a nice little package, and it's got similar sort of power to weight as the early Mark 1 and Mark 2 Golf GTIs. All its reviews have been pretty positive. Cheap price, VW quality, decent reviews. It was a real sales hit, and these have actually been quite difficult to get hold of sometimes. They pulled them from sale, put them back on sale, little things like that. This is post 2017 facelift. I don't know what that included, to be honest with you, but yeah, during 2019 and 20, I think they pulled them for sale, and then pandemic stuff, but now readily available to order with about a 3-month wait. So yeah, pretty good shout. Basically all the reviews are the same sort of vein. Really good fun, probably the most fun GTI they sell. but it has a crashy ride and not very good steering feel. Probably could do a bit better in those departments. Otherwise, a pretty stellar review from everyone. So let's have a look around the outside features to see what sets it apart from your usual VW Up. It's got all these normal GTI bits, and I'll start at the front, shall I? That makes sense. So yeah, lots of iconic, or at least stuff that's become iconic to the GTI features here. So we've got the red stripe and the GTI badge and the grille, obviously, which has been there since forever. The only cars that didn't come on was the Mark III GTI, Mark IV, although if you got a Mark III anniversary, it did have a red stripe. You've got the honeycomb grille, which sort of came in with the Mark V GTI. And then down the side, we've got the GTI badging here, which has been pretty much with all the flavours of GTI over the years. And then we've got these side stripes, which are a very good nod to the early, the Mark I GTIs, and also the very early Mark II GTI still had the stripe, in case you're wondering, or cared. There's those little nods to it all around here. We've got this lovely little blackened spoiler here. I think the bumpers front and rear are both different. The red stripe and GTI lettering on the glass tailgate here carries on round. And yeah, it's got these wheels here, which kind of look like the Mark VI Edition 35 wheels, but with smaller size and horrific diamond cut. Diamond cut belongs in the bin. Actually, I think they might be silver with black insets. Either way, look gash, don't like them, gonna change them. My car, this is the option, I think it's tungsten silver. No, it's not tungsten silver, it's something silver. I really like it. It reminds me of Porsche GT silver, the way it sort of goes dark and light. So let's go inside then. Lots of my camera again on the passenger seat, I apologise for that. So yeah, I love the tartan seats on GTIs. I know that this is meant to be like from the original GTI, but that had a very short span of having actual tartan seats. Very early cars did, and it wasn't this style of tartan. This is Mark V Golf and onwards, really. You've got this dotty red stuff on the plastic, which is interesting. They've raided the parts bin for the Mark 7.5 wheel. I'm happy with that because the Mark 8 wheel was horrible. It's got touch buttons everywhere. Yeah, lots of little nods here and there. And speaking of buttons, we've got buttons. I'm gonna shut the door because it's chilly out there. We've got actual buttons here. This is not a touch screen, it's a colour screen, but it's not a touch screen. It's got DAB, it's got connection to your phone, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that in a minute. But yeah, you've got a trip computer here, which is a standard Volkswagen MFD system. It works perfectly well. Nice analog gauges. All important 6-speed gearbox. This is only a manual, thank God. As you can tell by my number plate, I'm not a fan of autos in any way, shape or form, but in this car, the Up, it's not a DSG, it's called ASG. I can't remember if that's more like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember if that's an auto gearbox or a CVT, but it's shit basically. Yeah, inside you've got bare metal and cheap plastics. It's still an Up, it's still a city car, but it still feels way more quality than any other car in this sector, like the Toyota Aygo and all things like that. Yeah, so I'm 6'4", I've got quite long legs, so most cars I don't fit in. This one I fit in fairly well. You can see that that's with the clutch all the way out and in. I prefer this driving position because the issue I have is this doesn't have a reach, it's just height. I might be able to fix that with a spacer, but at the moment it's not actually bothering me too much. These seats are a bit of a pain. They look really nice and they've got a really nice cushy headrest, but they have absolutely no sideways lateral support really. At the base has a little bit, but it's minuscule, and it's very annoying because when you're driving this thing like you want to, you fall out of it. And I'm actually going to try and take it on track soon, so that's going to be interesting. There's something in the back called ISOFIX. Now, I believe those people who have the weird obsession with keeping their jizz as a pet need ISOFIX to tether them to the car for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but if you care, it's in there. Obviously, it comes in 3 and 5 door. I got 3 door because the 5 door looks shit. And yeah, I mean, in here, it's really practical. There's big cup holders. Even the back seat's got cup holders. It's got cubby holes. It's got, you know, the only options I chose were paint and the Beats audio stereo, which means that my spare wheel well is now a subwoofer, but I don't really mind. I mean, I'm not really using this for lugging stuff around. If I have a puncher, I have a puncher. Let's go look at that boot actually, because it's interesting. Yeah, so just quickly mention the boot. If you're in the business of lugging around dead bodies, this isn't great. And oh, whoops. How did that get in there? Strange. It's worth noting that you can see I've got this dual floor thing. I've actually got it all the way down there. That bit of carpet can slide up. You can have it tilted up in here, like to hold it, or you can slide it in so you can have a dual L boot floor. I still have it deep because I did pack this with a load of my dog stuff to take it to the kennels before I went away, and I didn't even put this back on properly, which shows. But another thing I like about this, look, it's got a little stop on it, so it stays up. Doesn't flap around. And then you've got loads of hooks and things around here to hold things in. The bare metal's a bit annoying because it's going to get scraped up. I've ordered some like heli tape to put over a lot of the door shuts and the door seals to try and keep them a bit nice. A lot of people carpet this, and they also put sound deadening in the spare wheel well, which is especially important because mine's full of a subwoofer. So yeah, I'm going to now take this out on some of my favourite roads and probably get stuck in traffic, but it gives me a chance to talk to you about how it drives, what I like, what I don't, etc, etc. Right, I've attached you to my sun visor, so this might be a bit bumpy, and my audio looks like it's about to run out of battery. So yeah, one thing I did want to touch on, that's interesting, it's coming up with a radio now, that's good. So I have in this what they call I think they call it Maps and More. Now other app owners can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is completely standard. Basically you've got a sort of plastic mount for your phone on top of the thing there, which is handy because I always have a phone mount in my car anyway, as I'm sure many of you do as well. The thing I love is the way it connects to the car, because the problem I find when you're buying cars that are, you know, 5 or 6 years old, maybe a bit older, the infotainment system from then onwards just always looks archaic, you know, especially in older stuff. It looks like an Etch-a-Sketch. My Range Rover was a really good example, and it just made connectivity to modern stuff a pain in the arse. Hence why I made the video on how to get Bluetooth in it. What this does different, which I love, is the radio is seen sort of like a vessel. It's a way of passing music through to the car. But the main features are on an app on your phone. I think it works with Android, it definitely works with iPhone. And this mount has a USB plug in it, and also it connects via Bluetooth. So the app is actually showing me now some maps. I can go in there and look at driving data in real time, and there's actually buttons on the radio which can control the app and change the screen for me, so it's not that distracting. I think that's a genius move, especially for a small car like this. It just means that it kind of never goes out of date, and more importantly it puts the price down, because everyone has a phone, you know, everyone has a smartphone. So if you want those functionalities in your car, your phone still needs to be there. It doesn't matter if you spend £4 option upgrade big sat-nav system, you still need your phone. So it's kind of ingenious where they've done it this way. And if you don't have a smartphone, it's still got DAB, it still can play music over Bluetooth and things like that. So it's pretty good. Right, now as we enter on some of the roads I really like around here, you hear that little 3-cylinder which sounds like a very angry diesel V12 or something. One thing I love about this car is the grip. Even on these absolutely shocking Goodyears, I can just hang it out. It's so light. Whoa, hello. That was just finding the limits of the tyres there, really. So I've already done a couple of mods on this. If you've seen other VWs, even like diesel ones, not just performance ones, they have something called dynamic drive, where you can change the profiles, it adjusts the weight of the steering and the throttle pedal and such. Now this car has it, but you can't change it. It doesn't have a button. The ECU's there with the settings in it, or the comfort control module, whichever one does that. But you can't change the setting unless you are Volkswagen. Or, in my case, I use something called Carista, which is a cheap Bluetooth dongle which can go in and edit settings. Unfortunately on this car I can't edit many, but it can edit steering and the throttle. So I've got the throttle on a more linear base, and I've put the steering in dynamic, and that's weighted it up a bit more, because at the end of the day it feels like they've just brought the steering over from the city car, and that was a bit of a bummer really. But that has actually made the steering quite a bit better. It's subtle, but it's noticeable. And the same with the throttle. The throttle was a bit dead. I think it was set to eco as standard maybe, or you know, normal or something. Now that's in a bit more of a linear state. It's really nice. So 2 things to do there. You know, it's a 20 quid dongle and you can get free trials with them, so it's worth doing. You may have seen in the back, I am going to change the suspension as well. From standard, these things are quite crashy. There's a price point that they have to build everything in the car to, and the suspension is one. So the compromise to get it gripping like this is, it is a bit stiff and it is a bit crashy. Stiff I don't mind, but crap damping control, that's what annoys me a bit. It's a bit skittish, it's a bit bouncy, and what I'd really like is something that can control the end of the compression. Some of the big compressions, you can actually hear it hit the bump stops. It's a bit, yeah, there's something not quite controlled about it, which is fine at this price point. I don't blame Volkswagen for doing that at all, and most people probably would just leave it as it is, but I know that Bilstein do a good damper, so I've pushed the boat out with some B14 coilovers, which seem to get good reviews on this car, up this road. But you can see I'm getting bobbed about quite a lot, and I may as well have coilovers on if it's going to be like that. That was my thinking anyway. The other thing I want to change, I told you already I don't like the style of these wheels. I think it would be really good. Oh, hello, it's a good corner. This is really good torque from low down as well. So good on the compression sometimes. You just get that little bit of bump stop though. You've just had better damping. And the other thing I want to change, sorry, was the tyres and the wheels. So the tyres that come on it are these Goodyear fishy grips. They're perfectly okay. I know a lot of people slag them off a lot. They're fine. They're not terrible tyres. I've had much worse actually. The Bridgestones that came on my 7.5 were dangerous. These are just not very good. But they're, you know, they're probably gonna last forever. I also don't like the 17s, so my idea is to put 16s on it with slightly chunkier sidewall tyre, which I think will both help the handling and the ride of the car no end. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, but I'll have to wait until I save up a bit more money because I spent quite a chunk on the suspension, and don't worry, I will be doing a video on me fitting the suspension and any other things I do to this. Other things I'm keen to do would include probably getting the traction control button mapped in. There is no button, you can't turn it off, and this car does like to scrabble its way out of corners, so it can be a bit of a buzzkill. It'll be nice if I can turn that off, especially for track use. There is a company that do a sort of retrofit button which looks very OEM, which I quite like, so I'm probably going to go for that. And I would like to know how to turn this bloody lane assist off. I have to do it every time I get in the car, and without fail I always forget, and it does my nutting. So I'd really like to know how to make that off. I don't even care about the start stop, it's the bloody auto crap in here, that lane keep assist, because you forget it's on and then the car starts moving by itself and you're like, Jesus, what's going on here? But then you remember, oh crap, it thinks I'm in a lane, it's read the road wrong, whatever. I'm sure it's good if you fall asleep on the motorway, but I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. So right guys, so now I'm stood in a lay-by, being really awkward for the outro. Just let me know what you think of the car, what you think. Lots of things coming up for the channel for it, don't worry. I'm sure I'll break it in the process as well, but yeah, some mods coming for it, probably some track action and this and that. Obviously I'm still on the lookout for cheap boxes to buy and break, and obviously me and Dan will be doing stuff to his cars, so don't worry, there's still going to be a lot of spannering on the channel. But yeah, leave your comment below, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much for watching. I'm back.